Hello, and welcome to our English learning story. Today, we will explore the incredible life of Elon Musk, one of the most famous inventors and entrepreneurs of our time. This is not just a business story. It is a journey full of dreams, risks, failures, and amazing successes. You will hear how Elon went from a curious boy in South Africa to the head of companies like SpaceX and Tesla. Along the way, you will learn how he faced huge challenges, made bold decisions, and worked to change the future. As you listen, you will also improve your English. We will use clear, simple language and real-life examples. This will help you practice your listening skills, grow your vocabulary, and understand English more naturally. So, get comfortable, relax, and let's begin the inspiring story of Elon Musk, a man who proves that with hard work and determination, even the biggest dreams can come true. Part 1: Early Life in South Africa. Elon Musk was born on June 28, 1971 in Pretoria, one of the capital cities of South Africa. His full name was Elon Reeve Musk. His family was mixed in background. His mother, May Musk, was born in Canada but grew up in South Africa. She worked as a model and also as a dietitian, helping people eat healthy food. His father, Errol Musk, was a South African engineer, pilot, and sailor. He often worked on projects involving machines and construction. Elon was the oldest of three children. His younger brother, Kimball, would later become a businessman and chef, and his younger sister, Tosca, would grow up to be a film producer and director. From a very young age, Elon was different from most children. He was quiet and often lost in his thoughts. Sometimes people thought he was not paying attention, but in reality he was imagining ideas and inventions in his mind. When he was only a few years old, he could spend hours reading books or building things with Lego bricks. By the age of 9, Elon had read the entire encyclopedia, every single page. He loved science fiction stories and books about space, technology, and inventors. Some of his favorites were by the author Isaac Asimov, whose books often explored the future of humanity and robots. Elon later said these stories taught him a rule for life: you should try to leave the world better than you found it. School life, however, was not easy. Elon was shy and physically small for his age, which made him a target for bullies. He was often teased or beaten by other boys. One time, a group of bullies pushed him down a staircase and hit him so hard that his face was badly injured. He had to spend a week in the hospital recovering. This was a difficult experience, but it did not break his spirit. If anything, it made him stronger inside. At the age of 10, Elon's life changed when his father bought him his first computer, a Commodore VIC-20. The computer was simple compared to today's technology, but for Elon, it was like opening a door to another world. It came with a manual that explained how to write computer programs. Instead of just playing games, Elon studied the manual for 3 days straight and taught himself how to program. By the age of 12, Elon had created his own small video game called Blaster. In the game, the player controls a spaceship that destroys alien cargo ships. Elon sold the code for the game to a computer magazine for $500. This was his very first business success and a clear sign of what was to come. Outside of school and computers, Elon's childhood had challenges. His parents divorced when he was young, and for a while, Elon lived with his father. Later, Elon would describe this time as very difficult. He didn't always get along with his father, and he often felt alone. But this solitude also gave him time to think, dream, and plan. Even as a boy, Elon had big dreams. He would tell people he wanted to move to the United States because he believed it was where great things are possible. He imagined building rockets, inventing machines, and creating companies that could change the world. While other kids were focused on sports or games, Elon was already thinking about how to make life better for humanity. In a way, his early years in South Africa were both difficult and full of opportunity. He faced bullying, family problems, and loneliness, but he also discovered his love for technology, his ability to learn on his own, and his vision for the future. These experiences would become the foundation for everything he would do later. Elon Musk's early life was the beginning of a story about curiosity, courage, and the determination to follow a dream, no matter how far away it seemed. Part 2, Moving to Canada and the USA. By the time Elon Musk was in his late teens, he already knew one thing for sure. He wanted to live in the United States. He believed America was the place where the most exciting technology and inventions were created. In his mind, the U.S. was a land of opportunity where big ideas could come to life. But in South Africa during the 1980s, young men were required to serve in the military. The military at that time was enforcing apartheid, a system of racial separation that Elon disagreed with. He didn't want to spend his early years in that system, so he began looking for a way to leave the country. There was a family connection that could help him. His mother, May Musk, was born in Canada. Because of this, Elon could apply for Canadian citizenship. He knew that once he became a Canadian citizen, it would be much easier to move to the United States later. In 1989, at the age of 17, Elon made the big move. He packed a few bags, had about $2,000 in savings, and boarded a plane to Canada. It was a bold decision. He had no job lined up, no place to live, and no real plan beyond make it work. When he arrived, life was not easy. For the first year, Elon moved between different relatives' houses, sometimes sleeping on sofas. He worked a series of tough, low-paying jobs. One summer, he worked on his cousin's farm in Saskatchewan, shoveling grain and cutting logs. Another time, he cleaned the inside of boilers at a lumber mill, a job so dangerous and dirty that most workers refused to do it. Elon wore a protective suit in a small, hot space, scraping off layers of toxic material. He later said this was the hardest job he ever had. In 1990, Elon enrolled at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario. He chose Queen's partly because he wanted to avoid serving in the South African military and partly because he believed Canada would be his doorway to the U.S. university life, gave him a chance to meet new people and start fresh. It was here that he met a fellow student, Justine Wilson, who would later become his first wife. Elon stood out at Queen's not because of his looks or popularity, but because of his curiosity and drive. He was the kind of student who would stay after lectures to ask professors more questions. He often talked about technology, space travel, and renewable energy topics that many classmates thought were interesting but unrealistic. After 2 years at Queen's, Elon transferred to the University of Pennsylvania in the United States. Finally, he was where he had always wanted to be. At Penn, Elon studied physics and economics, an unusual mix that combined science with business skills. He lived with several roommates in a large house. One of Elon's creative money-making ideas was to turn the house into a nightclub on weekends. They charged people at the door, moved the furniture out of the main rooms, and set up lights and music. The party sometimes had over 500 guests and helped pay the rent. Elon worked hard at his studies, but he also spent a lot of time thinking about the future. He made lists of problems he believed were most important for humanity to solve, things like making energy sustainable, creating affordable space travel, and developing artificial intelligence. These ideas would guide his career for decades.
In 1995, Elon graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with 2 bachelor's degrees, one in economics from the Wharton School, and one in physics from the College of Arts and Sciences. He was accepted into a PhD program in applied physics at Stanford University in California.
At first, this seemed like the perfect next step. Stanford was in the heart of Silicon Valley, the center of the growing tech industry. But Elon arrived at a unique moment in history, the early days of the internet boom. It was clear to him that the internet was about to change the world. In fact, he believed it would be more revolutionary than almost anything else in his lifetime. So after just 2 days at Stanford, Elon made another bold decision. He dropped out. He decided to start his own internet company instead. It was a huge risk. He had student debt, no real savings, and no guarantee of success. But Elon believed that in life, timing is everything, and the time to jump into the internet world was now. This leap would take him into his very first startup and the beginning of his life as an entrepreneur. Part 3, First Business Zip 2. After leaving Stanford University in 1995, Elon Musk was ready to take his first big step into the business world. He was only 24 years old, had no big network, and very little money. But he had big ideas and a strong belief that the internet was about to explode in importance. Together with his younger brother, Kimball Musk, and a business partner named Greg Curry, Elon started his first company. It was called Zip2. The idea behind Zip2 was simple but forward-thinking. At that time, most newspapers were still printed on paper and didn't have much of an online presence. Elon wanted to help newspapers create online city guides, digital maps, business listings, and directions that readers could access through the internet. In 1995, this was revolutionary. Google Maps didn't exist yet. Most people didn't even know what a search engine was. Elon saw an opportunity to make something useful before the rest of the world caught on. But starting Zip2 was not easy. They had so little money that they rented a small, cheap office in Palo Alto, California, and slept there at night to save on rent. The office didn't have a shower, so Elon and Kimball joined a local YMCA gym just so they could wash up in the mornings. Elon worked as the programmer, writing all the code himself at first. Kimball focused on sales, going door to door to try to convince newspapers and businesses to use their service. They worked 7 days a week, often late into the night, surviving on fast food and cheap noodles. Elon later said, "We didn't have enough money for an apartment, so we just slept in the office and showered at the YMCA. We coded all night and met with clients during the day." Getting customers in the early days was very hard. Many newspaper executives didn't understand why they would need an online version of their paper. The internet was still seen by some as a passing fad, but slowly they started to make progress. Zip2 signed deals with several small newspapers and then got its big break, contracts with the New York Times and the Chicago Tribune. These deals gave the company more credibility and helped them attract investors. In 1996, they received a significant investment from More Davido Ventures, a Silicon Valley venture capital firm. This gave them money to grow, but also meant Elon was no longer fully in control. The investors brought in a professional CEO to lead the company. Elon accepted this because he knew they needed experienced management to handle bigger clients. He kept working on the technical side, improving the product and making it more user-friendly. By 1999, Zip2 had grown enough to attract attention from large tech companies. Compaq, a major computer manufacturer at the time, offered to buy the company for $307 million in cash and $34 million in stock options. It was one of the biggest internet deals of that period. Elon's share of the sale was around $22 million. At just 27 years old, he was suddenly a multi-millionaire. You might think Elon would take a break, maybe travel the world or buy a big house. He did buy one thing, a McLaren F1, one of the fastest and most expensive cars in the world. But instead of retiring, Elon immediately started thinking about his next venture. He now had the capital, experience, and confidence to aim higher, and his next idea would change the way people used money online. Part 4. PayPal, Success and Conflict. After selling Zip2 in 1999, Elon Musk had about $22 million in his bank account. For many people, that would be a reason to slow down, buy a house, and enjoy life. But Elon was not looking for a vacation. He was looking for his next big challenge. At that time, the internet was still young. People could read news online, search for information, and send emails, but one area was still difficult: money. If you wanted to send someone money, you usually had to write a check or go to a bank. It was slow and, in some cases, expensive. Elon thought there should be a way to move money instantly over the internet, just like sending an email. So, in late 1999, he started a new company called X.com. It was an online bank that let people open accounts, send money, and make payments digitally. Elon invested $12 million of his own money into the company, more than half of what he had earned from Zip2. He was betting big on his idea. At first, X.com had a small team working out of a simple office in Palo Alto. Elon often sat with the engineers, helping design the website and discussing security. He knew that for people to trust online banking, it had to be both easy and safe.
Within a year, X.com merged with another startup called Confinity. Confinity had created a popular money transfer service called PayPal, which was especially used by people selling items on eBay. The merger made sense. X.com had the vision for online banking, and PayPal had a growing user base.
After the merger, Elon became the CEO of the combined company. Under his leadership, PayPal grew rapidly. They focused on making it as simple as possible to send money by email. eBay sellers loved it because they could receive payments instantly without waiting for checks to arrive. But with rapid growth came problems. Inside the company, there were disagreements about technology. PayPal's original system ran on Unix, but Elon wanted to switch to Microsoftware. He believed it would help the company scale faster. However, many engineers disagreed, saying the change could create serious technical problems. The tension grew, and in 2000, Elon went on vacation to Australia with his wife, Justine. While he was away, the board of directors held a meeting and voted to replace him as CEO. Peter Thiel, one of the co-founders of Confinity, became the new CEO. For Elon, this was a painful moment. He had started X.com, put his own money into it, and worked nonstop, and now he was no longer in charge. Still, he decided to stay involved as an advisor and remained the company's largest shareholder. Under Peter Thiel, PayPal continued to grow, and in 2002, eBay bought the company for $1.5 billion in stock. Elon's share was worth about $165 million. This was a huge financial success, but it also left Elon with mixed feelings. On one hand, he had helped create one of the most important financial tools of the internet age. On the other, he had lost control of his own company before it reached its peak. Still, PayPal had changed the way the world moved money. It proved that online financial services could be fast, safe, and easy to use. And for Elon, the sale gave him the resources to think even bigger. With $165 million now at his disposal, Elon was ready to tackle a challenge that most people thought was impossible: building rockets and going to space. Part 5: SpaceX Failure Before Success. After the sale of PayPal in 2002, Elon Musk suddenly had $165 million. Many people in his position would have invested the money in safe businesses or lived a comfortable life, but Elon had a much bigger dream: space. Since childhood, he had imagined humans traveling to other planets. He believed that for humanity to survive in the long term, we must become a multiplanetary species, and to do that, space travel had to become cheaper and more frequent. When Elon looked into the space industry, he was shocked. In the early 2000s, launching a rocket cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Even worse, rockets were not reusable. They were destroyed after a single flight. It was like throwing away an airplane after just one trip. In 2001, Elon even tried to buy rockets from Russia for a project to send plants to Mars, but the price was far too high, and negotiations failed. That's when he had a bold idea. Instead of buying rockets, he would build them himself.
In March 2002, Elon founded Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, better known as SpaceX. He invested $100 million of his own money to start the company. His goal was to design affordable, reusable rockets that could make space travel more like air travel.
At first, many experts laughed at him. They said rockets were too complex for a private company and that only governments like NASA or Russia's space agency could do such work. Some thought he was crazy. Elon hired a small, highly skilled team of engineers and set up headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Their first rocket was the Falcon 1, named after the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. It took 4 years to design and build Falcon 1. Finally, in 2006, they launched it for the first time from an island in the Pacific Ocean. The excitement lasted only 25 seconds. The rocket's engine failed, and it fell into the ocean. The team was disappointed but learned from the mistake. In 2007, they tried again. This time, the rocket flew longer but still failed due to a fuel leak. By 2008, SpaceX had spent most of its money, but Elon decided to try a third launch. This one made it into the air but failed just 2 minutes after takeoff. 3 rockets, 3 failures. Each launch had cost millions of dollars. SpaceX was running out of time and money. Elon had also invested heavily in Tesla, which was struggling to survive during the global financial crisis. He later said, "I could either put all the money into one company and let the other die, or try to save both and risk losing everything." In September 2008, they had just enough resources for one final attempt. The fourth launch had to succeed, or SpaceX would be finished. On September 28, 2008, the Falcon 1 rose into the sky. The world watched nervously. This time, everything worked. For the first time in history, a privately built, liquid-fueled rocket reached Earth's orbit. Just weeks later, NASA announced it had awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. This deal saved SpaceX from bankruptcy and proved Elon's vision could work. The years of failure had been painful. Employees had worked 80 to 100 hours a week. Elon had risked almost his entire fortune. But the success of that fourth launch marked the beginning of a new era, not just for SpaceX, but for the entire space industry. Elon had shown that with persistence, innovation, and the willingness to fail, even a private startup could compete with the giants of space exploration. Part 6. Tesla, building the future of cars. While Elon Musk was fighting to keep SpaceX alive, he was also involved in another huge challenge, changing the car industry. Most people thought the electric car dream was dead. For decades, big car companies had tried to make electric vehicles, but the results were slow, heavy, and expensive. Batteries didn't last long, and the cars weren't exciting. But in 2004, Elon met a small group of engineers in California who had a different vision. They had started a company called Tesla Motors, named after the famous inventor Nikola Tesla. Their goal was simple, bold: make electric cars that were fast, beautiful, and practical. Elon believed in their idea and invested over $6 million, becoming the company's biggest investor and later its chairman. Tesla's first project was the Tesla Roadster, a sleek sports car based on the Lotus Elise design. Unlike other electric cars, the Roadster could go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in under 4 seconds, faster than many gas-powered sports cars, and it had a range of over 300 kilometers on a single charge, which was record-breaking at the time. In 2008, Tesla finally launched the Roadster. It was a success in terms of technology and design, but it came with problems. The car was expensive to build, production was slow, and the company was losing money on each sale. Tesla was burning through cash, and some people thought it wouldn't survive. The timing couldn't have been worse. That same year, the global financial crisis hit. Car sales around the world collapsed. Tesla had only enough money left for a few months. Elon was in a desperate situation. SpaceX was almost out of money after 3 failed launches, and now Tesla was on the edge of bankruptcy. He decided to risk everything, putting the last of his personal fortune into both companies. He later said, "It was the worst year of my life. I thought everything I had worked for might be lost." Then, in late 2008, two miracles happened almost at once. First, SpaceX's fourth rocket succeeded and won a $1.6 billion NASA contract, giving Elon new funds. Second, Tesla received a $50 million investment from Daimler, the German carmaker that owns Mercedes-Benz. This money saved Tesla from collapse. With survival secured, Tesla began to grow. In 2012, the company launched the Model S, a luxury electric sedan. It was praised for its speed, long range, and innovative features like a giant touchscreen instead of traditional buttons. The Model S won Motor Trend's Car of the Year and even achieved the highest safety rating ever recorded in the US. Tesla didn't stop there. In 2015, it introduced the Model X, an SUV with unique falcon wing doors. Then came the Model 3 in 2017, a more affordable electric car aimed at the mass market. The Model 3 became one of the best-selling electric cars in history. To keep up with demand, Tesla built massive factories called gigafactories in Nevada, Shanghai, Berlin, and Texas. These factories produce batteries and cars on a huge scale, helping to lower costs and speed up production. By the early 2020s, Tesla was producing millions of electric vehicles each year. It had also developed advanced driver assistance software, pushing toward the dream of fully self-driving cars. Tesla's success forced the entire car industry to change direction. Companies like Ford, GM, Volkswagen, and Toyota began investing billions into electric vehicle development. Elon's goal was never just to make Tesla profitable, it was to push the whole world toward clean transportation. From a risky startup that many laughed at, Tesla grew into one of the most valuable car companies on Earth. And Elon Musk had proven once again that even in the face of near total failure, persistence could lead to historic success. Part 7: Solar City. While Elon Musk was busy running SpaceX and Tesla, he was also thinking about another big problem the world faced: energy. Most of the world's electricity still came from burning coal, oil, and gas. These fuels were causing pollution and adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, leading to climate change. Elon believed that to protect the planet, the world needed to switch to clean, renewable energy. One of the best sources of clean energy is the sun. Every hour, the Earth receives more energy from the sun than the entire human population uses in a year. The problem was capturing that energy and making it affordable for everyday people.
In 2006, Elon's cousins, Lyndon and Peter Rive, had an idea for a company that could help. They wanted to make it easier for homeowners and businesses to install solar panels. Elon believed in their vision and provided the initial funding to start Solar City. He became the company's chairman, while Lyndon served as CEO and Peter as COO.
Solar City's business model was different from many other solar companies at the time. Instead of asking customers to pay thousands of dollars upfront for panels, Solar City let them lease the equipment or sign a long-term contract. This meant people could start using solar power immediately without a huge initial cost. The company grew quickly. By 2013, Solar City was the largest solar installer in the United States. Its trucks and crews were busy in neighborhoods across the country, putting solar panels on rooftops and helping families lower their electricity bills. But Elon didn't just want to sell panels. He wanted to create a complete energy solution, a system where people could generate, store, and use their own power without relying on traditional power companies. That's where Tesla came in. In 2015, Tesla introduced the Powerwall, a home battery that stores energy from solar panels during the day so it can be used at night. This was a game changer for solar customers, especially in places with high electricity costs or frequent power outages. In 2016, Tesla decided to buy Solar City in a deal worth about $2.6 billion. The goal was to combine Tesla's battery technology with Solar City's installation network to speed up the move toward clean energy. Some investors were skeptical. They worried Tesla was taking on too much by merging with another company that wasn't yet profitable. There were also lawsuits from shareholders who claimed the deal mainly benefited Elon's family. Despite the criticism, Elon pushed ahead. In 2016, he unveiled the Tesla Solar Roof, special roof tiles that look like normal shingles but work like solar panels. They were designed to be both beautiful and functional so homeowners wouldn't have to choose between good design and clean energy. Over the years, the solar business faced challenges. Competition increased, installation growth slowed at times, and the solar roof rollout was slower than expected. But Elon remained committed to the idea that solar power combined with energy storage was essential for the world's future. Today, Tesla Energy, which includes the former Solar City, installs not just rooftop panels but also large-scale battery systems for businesses and utilities. Projects like the Hornsdale Power Reserve in Australia, one of the largest battery installations in the world, have shown how renewable energy can be stored and used reliably. For Elon, Solar City was never just about selling products. It was about creating a future where every home could be its own mini power station, drawing clean energy from the sun and storing it for whenever it was needed. In his own words, "We have this handy fusion reactor in the sky called the sun. You don't have to do anything. It just works. It shows up every day." By combining solar power with Tesla's battery technology, Elon hoped to make that fusion reactor in the sky a practical solution for everyone. Part 8: The Boring Company. While Elon Musk was busy with SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City, he was also thinking about a problem most people face every day: traffic. Living in Los Angeles, Elon often sat in his car for hours, stuck in long traffic jams. One day in December 2016, after yet another slow, frustrating drive to work, he posted a message on Twitter: "Traffic is driving me nuts. I'm going to build a tunnel boring machine and just start digging." Most people thought it was a joke, but Elon was serious. That tweet was the beginning of the Boring Company, a company that digs tunnels to move cars and people under the ground. The name itself was a joke. Boring means drilling tunnels, but it also means not interesting. Of course, Elon intended to make tunnels very interesting. His idea was simple. Instead of building more roads on the surface, why not use the empty space underground? Cars could travel in tunnels without traffic lights, without intersections, and without getting stuck behind slow drivers. The Boring Company's first test tunnel began at SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California. They used a second-hand boring machine, which Elon named Gato, after the play Waiting for Gato. At first, the digging was slow, slower than a snail, Elon joked, but the team worked on improving the machine's speed and efficiency. In 2017, Elon presented a bigger vision: a network of underground tunnels where cars could drive onto an electric skate platform and be transported at high speeds. Later, the idea evolved into the Loop system: small, autonomous electric vehicles carrying passengers directly to their destination, like a private subway with no stops in between. The company's first real public project was the Las Vegas Convention Center Loop, completed in 2021. It's about 1.7 miles, 2.7 kilometers long, and uses Tesla cars to shuttle visitors between different parts of the convention center in just a few minutes. While the system was simpler than the original skate concept, it proved that tunnel transport could be quick, quiet, and efficient. The Boring Company has also proposed tunnels in other cities, including Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and San Antonio. One of the more ambitious ideas is the Dugout Loop in Los Angeles, which would take baseball fans directly to Dodger Stadium in under 4 minutes. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Critics argue that tunnels are expensive, that public transit might be a better solution, and that moving cars underground doesn't solve the problem of too many vehicles. Elon responds that tunnels can be built faster and cheaper if the technology improves, and unlike roads, they don't take up space on the surface. The Boring Company has also had fun with its image. It sold flamethrowers as a fundraising idea officially called Not a Flamethrower to avoid shipping problems, and $50,000 hats for fans. The flamethrowers sold out quickly, showing that Elon's projects always attract public attention even when they sound strange. While the Boring Company is still young compared to SpaceX and Tesla, Elon sees it as part of a bigger vision, reducing traffic, speeding up travel, and making cities less noisy and crowded. In his words, "You can have as many layers of tunnels as you want. You can go 20, 30, 40 layers deep if you want. The deeper you go, the more space you have." Whether the Boring Company becomes a major transportation revolution or just a niche solution, it shows Elon's willingness to tackle everyday problems with unusual, bold ideas and to turn a tweet into a real company. Part 9: Neuralink. Even while running companies that built rockets, electric cars, solar panels, and tunnels, Elon Musk was already thinking about a challenge far beyond transportation or energy: the human brain. Elon has often said that he believes artificial intelligence, or AI, could one day become more intelligent than humans. While AI could help solve huge problems, Elon also worries that it could become dangerous if it's not controlled. His question was, how can humans keep up with AI in the future? One answer, he thought, was to merge humans with computers. If our brains could communicate directly with machines, we could work faster, remember more, and even control devices just by thinking. In 2016, Elon co-founded Neuralink, a neurotechnology company whose mission is to develop brain-computer interfaces. The idea is both simple and extremely complex. Tiny electrodes would be placed inside the brain to send and receive signals. These signals could help people with medical problems and later maybe even connect healthy people to AI. Neuralink's first goal is medical. The company is working on technology that could help people who are paralyzed control a computer or phone with their thoughts. It could also help restore sight to blind people or movement to those with spinal injuries. The technology involves a small, coin-sized device called the link. This device is surgically placed in the skull with ultra-thin wires, much thinner than a human hair, connecting to specific brain regions. These wires detect brain activity and can send signals back to the brain. Elon has compared the process to replacing a piece of skull with a smart piece of technology. He says the surgery could one day be as quick and safe as LASIK eye surgery. In 2020, Neuralink showed a live demonstration with a pig named Gertrude. Gertrude had a Neuralink implant that recorded signals from her brain while she sniffed around. The audience could see the brain activity in real time on a screen. In 2021, the company showed another demo, this time with a monkey named Pager. Pager had 2 Neuralink implants and learned to play a simple video game using only his mind. The joystick was disconnected, but the signals from Pager's brain were sent directly to the game. It was a clear example of the brain-computer connection in action. While these demos were exciting, Neuralink faces big challenges. Brain surgery is risky, the technology must be extremely precise, and there are many ethical questions. Some scientists worry about privacy. If we can read brain signals, could someone misuse that information? Others warn that moving too fast could put patients at risk. In 2023, Neuralink received approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) to begin human trials. This was a major step forward, though the road to everyday use is still long. Elon sees Neuralink as more than just a medical tool. In the long term, he believes it could help humans symbiotically connect with AI, not compete against it, but work alongside it. He imagines a future where you could send a thought as quickly as you send a text message, or download a new skill directly to your brain. It sounds like science fiction, But so did reusable rockets and mass-market electric cars until Elon built them. Whether Neuralink becomes a life-changing medical breakthrough or the first step toward a new kind of human-machine connection, it shows Elon's willingness to work on problems that most people aren't even thinking about yet. As he once said, "If you can't beat AI, join it." Part 10: Legacy, Criticism, and Vision for the Future. Elon Musk's journey from a curious boy in South Africa to the leader of multiple billion-dollar companies is unlike almost any other in modern history. He has founded or led businesses in space travel, electric cars, renewable energy, tunneling, and brain computer technology all at the same time. His work has changed entire industries and forced competitors to innovate faster. But Elon's legacy is complex. For many, he is a hero, a modern-day inventor who takes risks for the good of humanity. For others, he is controversial, too ambitious, too outspoken, and sometimes careless with his words, achievements, and impact. Elon's companies have achieved things that were once considered impossible.
SpaceX became the first private company to send a spacecraft to the International Space Station and to land reusable rockets.
Tesla proved that electric cars can be fast, beautiful, and practical, inspiring the entire auto industry to shift toward clean energy. SolarCity and Tesla Energy have helped push solar power and battery storage into more homes and businesses. The Boring Company showed that tunnels could be built more cheaply, opening new ideas for urban transport. Neuralink is pioneering technology that could one day help people with severe disabilities. His companies are not just making products, they are reshaping the future. Criticism and challenges. Elon's path has not been without controversy. He is known for his blunt, sometimes unpredictable tweets, which have caused legal trouble and affected stock prices. Some critics say he promises too much and delivers late. For example, self-driving Tesla cars were predicted to arrive years earlier than they actually have. Working for his companies can also be intense. Former employees have spoken about long hours and high pressure. Supporters say that's the cost of doing groundbreaking work, while critics argue it can burn out talented people. There have also been public disagreements with government agencies, unions, and journalists. Elon's strong personality means he rarely avoids conflict. Vision for the future. Despite the challenges, Elon's goals remain ambitious, some would say audacious. He wants to build a city on Mars with 1 million people by the year 2050. He plans to make Tesla produce tens of millions of electric vehicles per year, replacing most gasoline cars on Earth. He hopes to power the world with solar energy and large-scale batteries, making fossil fuels obsolete. Through Neuralink, he imagines a future where humans and AI work together seamlessly. In Elon's mind, these are not science fiction dreams. They are necessary steps for humanity's survival. A polarizing figure. One reason Elon's story attracts so much attention is that he inspires both admiration and criticism at the same time. Some see him as a visionary genius, others think he is reckless. But whether you love him or doubt him, his influence on technology and business is undeniable. A lasting lesson. Perhaps the most important part of Elon Musk's story is his willingness to take risks. Not just small risks, but bet everything risks. When SpaceX and Tesla were both on the edge of bankruptcy, he invested his last remaining money to save them, knowing he could lose everything. That decision changed the course of his life and arguably the future of several industries. His story shows that success is not a straight line. It is full of failures, criticism, and moments where giving up would be the easy choice. But for Elon, giving up was never an option. In his own words, when something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Love him or hate him, Elon Musk has left a mark on the world that will be studied and debated for decades to come. And his story isn't over yet. Thanks for listening to the exciting story about Elon Musk. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to our channel.